Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Knicks fans everywhere are still basking in the glow of their team's first NBA championship since 1973. John Rogers is founder, chairman, and co-CEO of Ariel Investments, one of the largest and longest-running black-owned investment firms in the country, and one of the largest shareholders of MSGS stocks. That's Madison Square Garden Sports, the larger company that includes the New York Knicks and the New York Rangers. He says coming off the Knicks' big win, the timing could be right to split off the stock into at least two distinct companies.
I think it'll make it much easier for a private equity investor to put capital into either of the companies or both companies. It'll be easier for Jim Dolan if you want to sell one of the companies. He might want to sell at these all-time highs as the stocks have done so extraordinarily well. Get out on top and realize the valuation will probably never be higher than what's happening during this environment after this iconic championship.
I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
You can never have too many tools. Shop DeWalt deals at Lowe's. Get a free Select DeWalt 20-volt max power tool when you buy a Select 20-volt max 5-amp-hour battery kit. Plus, get a free additional DeWalt 20-volt max 8-amp-hour battery when you buy a DeWalt 10-inch 20-volt max dual-bevel compounded miter saw. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 6/24 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
You're listening to the new 1017 The Truth, founded in partnership with American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station.
Steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, oh, the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Monday, June 22nd, 2026. I first would like to give you their names. They may sound familiar. Others may sound more familiar than some. I just want to give folks a reminder of who these individuals are. Jill J. Karofsky, Annette Kingsland Ziegler, Rebecca Grassel Bradley, Rebecca Frank Dallett, Brian Hagedorn, Janet C. Protozewicz, and Susan M. Crawford. Those are the names of the Wisconsin State Supreme Court justices who just ruled in a 7-0 decision that I first must admit is very rare for a court that has a decidedly liberal ideology. And now that liberal ideology that exists on the state Supreme Court, I think it was the culmination of a bunch of different factors, a bunch of considerations that Trumpism and the Republican control of the Wisconsin state legislature, and even going back to the days prior to the election of Tony Evers, just the impact that Republican policies and legislation has had on the state of Wisconsin, not for the better, but for the worse. And then there was also some very heavy influence by outside groups to essentially try to buy a Wisconsin state Supreme Court race from the conservative candidate about 2 years ago. His name is Brad Schimmel. Now, of course, he lost his election because the people in Wisconsin, or the voters at least, firmly rejected outside groups, including one that was funded heavily by Elon Musk, coming in and trying to buy a Wisconsin state Supreme Court election. So you can go back in each of those election years and point to something outrageous or egregious or offensive or faulty in the policy ethos of the time that caused the voters to take the much more liberal option when voting for a state Supreme Court justice. I have always put heavy emphasis on the court system because if you live in a nation such as this one, where legislation can be created to be really harmful to people, that can single out groups and ostracize people and strip folks of dignity and civil liberties and civil rights, the courts have always been a strong place for redress. I'll give you an example. If you are convicted, I don't want any of you to get convicted. I also don't want any of you to commit any crimes. But wishful thinking, in the event that you are wrongfully convicted, you have recourse in the courts. A jury of your peers may have sentenced you. The prosecution may have been weak and faulty. However, you didn't get dealt the best cards and you were found guilty and you might be serving your term. Well, you have this thing called an appeal. Appeals are heard by the appellate court. My opinion, most powerful courts in the land, I also think that appellate courts are on par, in some cases more powerful than the U.S. Supreme Court, because this is a place in which you go to get redress for your wrongful conviction. Your appeal can release you from jail. In fact, there's a whole Innocence Project that's been around for at least a generation that does exactly that. They look at these cases where prosecutors get it wrong and defense attorneys sometimes don't get it right, and juries are just, I walk around in life and just, I'm quiet when I walk around. I just observe people. And I think to myself, any one of these people that I'm looking at, I'm in some public space or some public place, and I just look at people and just get like a snapshot of the people in my purview. And I'm thinking to myself, some of these people can't even tell their left from their right, but could decide a man or woman's fate on a jury. It's just staggering to me how misinformed so many people are in this country. The court said separate but equal is unconstitutional, and then required the integration of the schools. There have been many a Supreme Court decision, some good, some bad, but the courts have always been a place that are above partisanship, and they look at the facts of a situation where bigotry and Democrat versus Republican can create a law, can create a policy, and the court will say, you can't do that. That's not fair. That's unconstitutional. And then a new set of rights are born. So whenever you don't have the legislature, and Democrats have not had the legislature in the state of Wisconsin in a very long time, I do believe that is going to change in fairly short order. We're also going to get a new governor. Don't know who it's going to be, but you've got some choices. Everyone is on television running commercials except for David Crowley. We'll talk about that later. It's just, I think he just wants to disappear for some reason. I'm really disappointed. I'm still going to vote for him, but I just wish he was playing ball with everybody else. He just doesn't really seem to be. But I have looked at the courts, well, up until fairly recently, as a place that can get it right when legislation gets it wrong. And so I express to you my exceptionally profound disappointment in the Wisconsin State Supreme Court justices who voted 7-0 in siding with an organization called WILL, the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. Think of WILL as an organization that sues every person, every nonprofit, every government agency, every private business that seeks more minority inclusion. Think of WILL as the long, strong arm of Trumpism with really conservative lawyers that root out anything that can get in the way of white people's progress. If there's a company that says, we want to have more diversity to be more reflective of the community in which our company is located, if one white person applies for a job and doesn't get it, will sue the company. We already have a referendum appearing on the ballot in November. What these Supreme Court justices did is they made it unconstitutional for minority scholarships to the UW system. Not just illegal, unconstitutional. So I'm gonna give you some details onto why this decision is not just the wrong one, it's harmful. It was intellectually lazy, because I have other avenues that this liberal court could have taken to maintain minority scholarship availability for black children that cannot afford to go to college, and college has gotten more expensive on purpose. That's the whole reason why tuition is going up, because if someone is coming from a low-income background, the likelihood they're going to go to college is diminished, but if they do go, they're going to go into debt forever to pay for it. Just like if you don't want certain people in your venue, raise the price, and you're going to make sure that certain people, the poors, will never be able to go. Well, they're trying to do that with college. I have the details and the number of black and minority students that would not be in college, could not go to college, would not have graduated from college if it wasn't for these particular grants that a liberal Supreme Court decided was unconstitutional. They essentially sided with the Trump administration. Let me tell you why I'm so profoundly disappointed. Because all the liberal justices that are currently sitting on this court sat across from me, looked me in my face, and talked about how their judicial temperance would be good for the community in which we hail. And they voted. These are liberals now. They voted to uphold anti-DEI, pro-Trump, pro-U.S. Supreme Court policies. And I am disgusted, but I want this to be a teachable lesson for all people. Because they say they are liberal does not mean at the end of the day that they have our best interests in mind. They've even gotten like 1 million over the course of their different elections. The liberal Supreme Court justices, I'm not talking about the conservative ones, got something like 82% of the minority vote in the state of Wisconsin. So it is very safe to say that the liberal justices that are currently serving on the state Supreme Court got there because people of color and minorities voted them in. And what did they do? Stabbed every single one of us in the back by siding with Will and the Trump administration. And this was not the decision that they had to make, but it was unanimous. And some of us we're bewildered. But these nice, well-meaning white liberal ladies all voted to overturn minority scholarship. This is ahead of the referendum, which would have made this stuff unconstitutional anyway. So they could have given us a little bit of a reprieve, but they didn't. They made this decision so that black children can't get minority scholarships for the upcoming, I shouldn't call them children, but for the upcoming school year. Any of these minority-based scholarships are now not just illegal, but unconstitutional, ahead of the referendum that would have made them unconstitutional, but that would have went into effect after the next school year. White guilt is over, regardless of your political stances. And I need people to think very critically about this, because we as black people get fooled when a white person tells us that they are liberal, but they are white first. White guilt is over. And I knew that when white people were feeling guilty for a number of things, especially after George Floyd, I was thinking to myself, we're in trouble, because one day their guilt is going to wear off and they're going to return back to who they are. Liberal be damned, conservative be damned. They're white folks. And then if you look at it objectively, I almost don't blame them. Now, I can be very upset because I was fooled, because I interviewed each and every one of those women and allowed them to use this platform to convince a lot of you to vote for them. They get on the bench, they have this liberal majority, yay, and they vote to stab minority students in the back to take away some of the only resources that these students have to even pay for college. This is going to have a long and profound effect on the state of Wisconsin, and maybe other states will follow. But the guilt that we thought that they had is certainly over. I'll even put it in a different perspective, because we seem to think that white women are very nice and they want to band together with other women. And, a lot of white women we seem to think are liberal or Democratic voting. That's a lie. Only 2 elections in the last almost 70 years have white women voted for Democrats more than Republicans, and that's 1964 and 1992. That's not a very good track record. And the coldest one of them all, if I survey the entire landscape, you had your Pam Bondys and you had your Caroline Levitts and you had your Kristi Noems, but the cold-bloodedest one of them all, her name is Susie Wiles, and I bet most of you don't even know who she is. Donald Trump's most dangerous assassins have always been white women. Always. Because you don't suspect. You would never suspect them, because they're all nice and they're dainty and they're feminine and they got the long hair. They are the killers. Susie Wiles is Donald Trump's chief of staff. The information that Donald Trump gets comes from her. She controls his schedule. She controls what he sees, who he talks to. She controls what meetings he takes. So everything that you see Donald Trump do, every word he utters, every person that influences him is coming from Susie Wiles. And here's the dopest thing about it. Some of y'all are hearing her name for the first time, and she has done more profound permanent damage to this country than anybody else. A white woman. When I come back, I'm going to give you the details of how harmful this state Supreme Court decision is. And it was unanimous now. You don't get a lot of unanimous court decisions. So this right here is a doozy, but I just want to let this be an example of where we are headed. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The headline reads, Minority college grants are unconstitutional, state Supreme Court says. So this vote was 7-0, so it was unanimous. But the justices, they had the nerve to acknowledge, because they know that people like myself would be highly outraged by this, because they may not have gotten to their positions on the state Supreme Court if it wasn't for a college-educated minority vote. So they said, well, we acknowledge that this is going to be harmful and it's not good. And they also acknowledge that there is, let's just say, less than adequate representation on college campuses when it comes to racial minorities. So they did acknowledge that, but they still voted with the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty's case, where minority scholarships are determined unconstitutional. And I just got, things have settled, because for the last couple of weeks we were up in arms about the development at Midtown, which I think is going to be very symbolic of what's to come. And so I'm going to get into some details of that, because there's a lot that's missing from the public's portion of their outrage with the Midtown development. But I want to loop all this stuff in, because people are always concerned about how many jobs are going to be created when there's a development. If there's going to be a development in our community, there's always a subset of people that want to know what kind of jobs are going to be created, how much they're going to pay, et cetera, et cetera. Ladies and gentlemen, long gone are the days where you can just get a job and get some employment without a technical skill. And so we're telling people to go and learn a trade. But also, as we move further and deeper into the future, the technical knowledge that you're going to need to know to make any kind of money might be contingent upon education after high school. And if a minority grant program or scholarship program has been declared against the Constitution, some of the jobs that we may want our people in our community to get at the research center, data center, whatever you want to call it, they're not going to be able to get those jobs, because the education you are going to need might exceed the education that people have. And we have to put these things together. So this is going to be a long-term impact. And so whatever is going to be available at Midtown, as an example, 10 years from now, 15, 20, 30 years from now, the workforce that will be there, because I'm sure that data center, the research center is still going to be there, but there's going to be less and less of us employed at those very, very high paying jobs. Like, all those jobs are 6 figures. And the only way that you can get to some of those 6-figure jobs is if you have some kind of training, some kind of skill set, some kind of resume, and oftentimes an education to back it up. But there's also been this heavy anti-intellectualism sentiment, especially coming from the right. Have you noticed how much they just hate college? They hate educated people. They hate the liberal elite. If you look at the biggest and bluest cities in the country, they're all Democratic, aren't they? Now, they got some problems, obviously, because they're in America. But the biggest cities have the most Democratic voting people, because the biggest cities have more institutions of education. They are more educated, and they're located primarily in the north. I can make it even more simple for you. Find me a big Republican city. One, just name one. Name a big city, like a metropolitan area that's thriving, that's got a sports team, has a whole bunch of stuff going on, has modern modes of transportation, has big old buildings and a big old downtown. Tain't none. Even cities in the deep, deep, deep red South and metro areas all have Democratic mayors. There are no Republican cities, because you need intellectuals to run urban areas, don't you? Now, the problem is you got all these little small towns and these little podunk little counties that all vote very Republican and very conservative. And this is what's screwed up about American politics that most people never want to articulate. Don't worry, I'm going to get back to the justices in a minute. I got something for them. They looked me in my face and lied to me. I don't like that. See, now y'all see why I don't like interviewing people, because at some point their lies are going to be revealed, and I don't want to be responsible for helping a liar get elected. I've done it before. Don't want to do it again. You have people that have moved out of cities when cities became more diverse, and they populated some of these small towns. And there's just folks that are just rural. They've always voted very conservative and very Republican because they are detached from what the real world is, and the real world is very diverse. So they'll have like this hatred and this animosity for what goes on in the city. And you can even see it reflected in what I believe is the cornerstone of our democracy, which is our newspapers. All the stories that talk about the black person shot this person, like that has an effect on folks, especially if you don't know people in that city, you're not connected to the city, you just live in your small town, but then you read what is happening in Milwaukee, and it's just murder, 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 homicide, murder, 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 kill, murder, 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 rape, murder, 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 arson, murder, 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 murder. And so you have this plurality of people that live outside of cities that vote for Republicans in state legislatures. So we get Republicans elected to state legislatures, not just here, but all over the country, that punish the blue and liberal cities. Because you do have a heavy amount of vote concentration in cities for statewide candidates, for U.S. Senate races, for some congressional races. But when it comes to individual legislative districts in big states that might even be red states, might even be a state like Wisconsin that's purple, Republicans get elected to control the overall state budget, which then punish those cities. And then the Republicans can say, look at how terrible these Democrats run these big cities. The reason is because they are punishing by restricting resources and access to what those cities need to become profitable and to flourish. The Republican-controlled legislatures do that, and then we blame the people in the cities. But then I say, to push back on that, find me a big, thriving city, 1 million plus people in a metro area where you have a Republican mayor. There are none. Too many people in that party are so anti-intellectual that they hate education itself. They actually hate education because they got laughed at for being stupid. So now, not only do they hate smart people, because smart people can, read, write in cursive, you know, all that smart people stuff. So then you have a whole cohort, a subset of people that want to make college unaffordable and unattainable because they know that when people are in a system like this and you get an education, you can be surprisingly successful and productive. So they hate education totally, mostly because they don't have any. And this is where we are in the world. The state Supreme Court unanimously ruled a Wisconsin college grant program restricted to certain students of color was unconstitutional and ordered the state to end administering the program. Now, listen now. They didn't have to do this now. The court could have said, we're going to decline, or we can say, this program is narrowly tailored enough to where it doesn't meet a bar or a burden of unconstitutionality. Or the court could have said, let's let the people decide because there's a referendum coming up in November. The court had so many other options, but they voted 7-0. This should have been a 5-2 vote. 5-2 vote to strike this down, or a 5-2 vote to not even take this case because there's a referendum on the ballot in November. Now, what I'm hoping, I'm going to be wrong, is that this 7-0 Supreme Court decision might have some impact and influence on the November ballot referendum because it's basically redundant. But here's a much larger problem than this. None of the Democratic candidates for governor are going to mention this. Even though they're Democrats and they're running for governor, white folks in this state, which are 84% of the voters, 79% of the population, know that minorities sometimes get money to go to college. But here's the kicker. Even white folks that don't want to go to college, that are not going to college, their kids are not going to go to college, still don't want minorities to get grant programs and scholarships to go to college because they think that we are going to outperform them, because we do. Now, the referendum is redundant, but the Democratic candidates that, again, if they hope to get across the finish line in a very crowded primary, you would want to engage black voters, I would think, because black voters, tend to vote for the Democrats. There is no better way to engage black voters than by saying you are under attack. So what we saw from afar here in Wisconsin is in other states, they have been eliminating and reducing majority black congressional districts. And I was like, well, we can't worry about that because that's another state's issue. And a lot of you called and texted and said, oh, Sherwin, what are we going to do about redistricting in Mississippi? I said, we got to let Mississippi people handle what is happening to them, because we got to save our powder for fights that are coming right here in the state of Wisconsin. Because what we do is we read about something somewhere else where black people are being marginalized or pushed to the side, and then we make that our cause. And then when something happens right here at home, we're already committed to somewhere else. We can't be worried about what's going on in Mississippi because Mississippi ain't worried about what's going on here. And take a break, come back. I'll give you some details of other decisions this court could have made but did not make. This one was intentional. I need you to know that the 5 liberal justices on this court sided with the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, sided with the U.S. Supreme Court when they declared affirmative action unconstitutional, and DEI programs have been completely and totally stripped from the federal government, leading to an increase of something like 300,000 African-American women. Here's the best part, whose salaries were $90,000 and above are now unemployed or have had their federal government employment opportunities stripped and reduced. Like, that's a profound situation. And we're just getting started. And so am I here on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. but some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Dream overland, my soul is from.
The case involved the Wisconsin Minority Undergraduate Retention Grant Program, which provided grants to students who were Black, Hispanic, Native American, or certain Southeast Asian groups. On June 18th, 2026, one day before Juneteenth Day, the Wisconsin Supreme Court unanimously held that the program violated constitutional equal protection guarantees and ordered the state to stop administering it. I will let you know that the idea of equal protection, if I'm not mistaken, is the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and is involved in the Reconstruction Amendments that's supported and verified the freedom and the citizenship of Black people. So the whole equal protection clause applied to us, and now they're using it against us. And I want you to know that liberals will use it and conservatives will use it to stifle minority progress in this country, because it's an all hands on deck situation for them, because white people are losing population. And I don't want you to think that there is a liberal white person that is okay with there being less white people in the country. White people can feel comfortable to do whatever they want and go wherever they want because they know, and they've always known, there are simply more of them. They are better represented everywhere, even in places and spaces in which they do not belong. And we saw that at Midtown. White folks feel the need to go anywhere they want to because they outnumber everybody. They are more voters. They are more business owners. They own more homes. They own more wealth. And when that starts to erode, the entire house of cards that they built in this nation begins to fall. And so then if they can get to the heart of the matter is there have been major advancements and opportunities for education for students of color, for minorities, et cetera. And we have taken these opportunities in a really, really short period of time. I need you to know that 159 years ago, Black people couldn't read. And in that very short period of time, I know that it might seem like a long time. That's 2 lifetimes. 2 people born, died. If you go back 2 lifetimes, we couldn't read. Not only could we not read, it was illegal to teach us. And in that period of time, we became president of the United States. Like, that even shocks me. Barack Obama's biracial background still would have qualified him to have been in bondage had it been 1861. So don't forget that. So he would have been a slave as well. And there's a lot of slaves that were biracial. So if you put it in that context, in a very, very short period of time, with all the racial struggles that we had, hell, we had 100 years of Jim Crow. 100 years of Jim Crow, which I think did a number on holding Black people back for a number of reasons. 100 years of Jim Crow have only been reading for 159 years and accomplished some pretty cool stuff in that very short period of time. Well, for our opposition, that's kind of threatening because they want their kids to get into college. And a white person will say, well, what about us? We face racism too. No, you're facing competition. It sucks, doesn't it? I swear more of y'all should have played team sports because I can tell the people that didn't. But it's not fair. Whole bunch of stuff ain't fair. And there was a period of time, I don't know if I want to call it white guilt. Maybe we called it white guilt during the whole George Floyd thing, which I got nervous about that because I was like, these white folks are not going to maintain this facade. They just didn't want to be called racist because they were beating up on each other. And when white people are calling each other privileged, I'm like, oh, we're doomed. Because at one point, the white folks that were trying to convince the ultra lefty liberals to shut up about their privilege, I knew that that those white people would win. Conservative white folks are like, look, because this is a conversation they can have with one another. Black folks can't involve ourselves in their conversations, and I don't. I let white folks just battle it out on their own because at the end of the day, we can't influence them. We can't. We think that we can. We can, like, distract them with singing and dancing and hip-hop, but we can't influence them. White people have had long, deep, animist relationships before they even came to America. In fact, there was a whole 1,000 years in Europe where white people were doing nothing but killing and eating each other. They called it the Dark Ages, which is a real cute way of saying there was so much anti-intellectualism in Western Europe. They made zero advancements until a couple of them decided, like, we need to, like, maybe travel. So what do they have going on, like, in Africa? The Africans were doing, math, mapping the heavens, building pyramids. The closest that the Europeans got, and I'll give them some credit, after they had their Age of Enlightenment, they built some pretty dope churches. Like some of those European, like those Gothic-style churches are dope. But, that's not until like the 14 and 1500s. Go back 1,000 years before that. They did literally nothing, and they call it the Dark Ages. So I always push back when people say, oh, the Europeans are so much more advanced. Where do you think their advancement came from? It didn't come from them. They were eating each other. Came from us. And they're like, wait a minute. These Africans have it going on. Let's try to kill them and enslave them because we cannot let them continue to progress. So I let white folks just have their own little arguments between one another. And we as black people, we can't get involved because their hatred for one another, it even, in some cases, it supersedes their hatred for us. But the hatred toward black people got white people that always hated each other, like the Italians and the Irish and the Polish. Here I am thinking they're one big happy family, like, like the LGBTQIA plus queer people. I thought they all just loved each other. Oh, no, they don't. They've got big beefs between them. And I used to think the white folks were like that because white was created to galvanize all of them together to be against us, because you have to have negative public sentiment and perception about black people to maintain the institution of slavery for 400 years. And white people, especially nowadays, particularly white men, are easy to influence. It does not take much. Just got to scare them a little bit. Tell them that these people are coming to take something from them. They're going to take your money. They're going to take your property. They're going to take your ability to do whatever you want, and they will hate anybody you point them at. It's really a beautiful system. Problem is, all too often, black people are impacted and victimized by it. Could the court have saved the program? There were other options instead of this 7-0 vote to declare the Wisconsin Minority Undergraduate Retention Program, which provided grants to students who were Black, Hispanic, Native American, or certain Southeast Asian groups to get resources to go to college. It should be noted that 4th District Wisconsin State Senator Dora Drake received this very grant that is now unconstitutional. I need you to look at that critically now. If we have a state senator that represents 3 assembly districts in her Senate district, 150,000 plus people, and if she got to that position in the Wisconsin state legislature because she received this grant, if you cut the grant off, you might cut off the pipeline where more black people can serve in the Senate or in the Congress or in the presidency. Because this is one of these long-term detrimental decisions that liberal justices who got elected with black votes made this decision. There were a couple of options the court could have taken. The court could have found that the state's interest in addressing educational disparities amongst minority groups was sufficiently compelling and that the program was narrowly tailored enough where they could have just left it alone. That was the most preferred route. They had another option. I'm so mad at them. They ain't coming back to my show. Lucky for them, their terms are 10 years. I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years. If I'm still here at this microphone in 10 years, something went wrong in my life. I need to be doing other stuff by then. Hopefully one of y'all will take over. Number 2, They could have interpreted the statute in a race-neutral way. Courts sometimes preserve laws by interpreting them a little differently. Here, the statute explicitly limited eligibility to specific racial and ethnic groups. The court could not simply rewrite those eligibility requirements. Or 3, strike only part of the law. The racial eligibility language could be separated from the rest of the statute. The court might have left the remainder intact. In practice, the racial classifications were central to the program, making severance difficult. But then there was a fourth option, which was they could have just declined to hear the case. Okay? Sent it back to a lower court and waited and paused until the voters in Wisconsin in November of this very year make a decision on how we feel about these DEI programs, which would include these racially sensitive scholarships. But the court did not do that. It took action so that, here's the part that's going to be the knife in somebody's chest. Some of y'all just went to your child, grandchild, friend, stepchild, foster child, godchild's high school graduation. And they very well may be accepted and will attend in the fall one of our, I think we got 13 UW campuses. And part of their acceptance to one of these UW campuses, your child, your grandchild, your foster child, your godchild, whoever, part of their compensation package to pay for the ever-increasing cost of tuition at a UW-Madison or Whitewater or Platteville or Stout or UW-Milwaukee or Oshkosh or Eau Claire or UW-Stout. Nobody goes to Stout, but you know what I mean. Part of their compensation package was they got this exact minority grant to help offset the cost of tuition. The grant has now been pulled. You understand? If they had it, it's gone because it's been declared unconstitutional for students entering school this fall. Here's what the court could have did. They could have given respect to the young people that qualified for this grant and would use it moving forward their first year of undergrad, at least their first semester. The people in the state of Wisconsin vote. We obviously are going to vote to overturn any DEI in the state of Wisconsin. Then everything else would have kicked in. But some of these kids are not going to go to college. They're going to have to rescind their acceptance because they're not going to be able to afford it. Now think about when this decision by the court was made. It was made a day before June 18th. So just recently. Some of these kids are not going to be able to find an additional funding mechanism between now and the start of school right around Labor Day. So listen to me now. Listen. These are black students. These are minority students, okay? They can't attend because they lost the scholarship because their scholarship has been declared unconstitutional. Guess who now gets to attend those schools? Because, schools are limited. They can't take everybody. Hold on. Are you feeling me what I'm saying right now? So black kids lost their scholarship ahead of the upcoming fall semester. Those black kids, I can't go to college. I don't have the money. They took my scholarship the summer before I'm about to leave for undergrad. White kids that may have been denied entry to those schools, all of a sudden are getting a phone call because the waiting list now is opened up because, we've had 750 black students and all of a sudden have rescinded their acceptance to UW-Madison. Now 750 white kids are going to get those seats. Bingo. And liberal justices made this decision, and you, even me, voted for them. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The Homeward Blow Foundation, Inc., nonprofit 501c3, and our presenting sponsor, Beta Philanthropies, Inc., invites you to the 32nd annual Homeward Blow birthday party for the kids on Saturday, June 27th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. for kids ages 2 to 13 years old at the Fitzsimmons Boys and Girls Club and Metcalf School, located at 3400 West North Avenue on 34th and North. Admission is absolutely free, and after 32 years, you already know how it goes down. And this year, don't miss the kids' phone party. Shout out to our platinum sponsors, the Office of Early Childhood Initiative, Mighty Small Moments, the Brewers Community Foundation, Spectrum, and Westcare, Wisconsin. Our gold sponsors, Maleka Early Learning Center, Liquid, formerly the Oasis, Unite WI, Community Health Primary Care Services, LLC, the Greater Milwaukee Urban League, Eisenberg, Riley, and Zimmerman, and the New Pitts Mortuary. Our silver sponsors, Mr. B's Privilege Lounge and Dog City, along with Running Rebels and Griffin CDL Institute. Limited vendor spaces available. If you'd like to support or make a donation, email homerblowfoundation@gmail.com or call 414-248-4954.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is "My job is people, everyone is my business." But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The referendum is going to read. Question 1. So this is going to be on your November ballot. And I hate that I'm the one reading it to you for the first time because there are a number of candidates who are running for governor who want votes from Democrats in the state that are not mentioning this referendum because they either support it covertly or they don't want to trade a single white vote for any black votes that they may be getting. And I find that unusual because I'm not sure what the percentage is, but I'd be willing to bet less than 50% of those who identify as Caucasian in the state of Wisconsin will ever vote for a Democrat. Now, the reason why Democrats can win narrowly in statewide contests, we can go back probably 3, 4, 5 election cycles, including some presidential election cycles where it's been about 25 to 30,000 votes either way. So the majority of white people in the state of Wisconsin absolutely do prefer, in raw numbers, to vote for Republicans. But when 90+% of African Americans and lesser percentages, but certainly it's better than 60%, better than 70%, all vote for Democrats, even though their overall population share of Wisconsin is smaller, their percentage of votes for Democrats is higher. That is that margin of the 25 or 30,000 votes that Democrats get in order to win statewide. Of the 7 Democrats that are running, some of them, I don't know what their positions on education is because education is very much on this ballot. Tony Evers, who was governor for 2 terms, he was a former Wisconsin state superintendent, so education is his thing. And Tony Evers' dedication to public education, that's what his career was. But he also realized that the public school systems in different counties and in different cities had different needs. And in Milwaukee, it has been well reported that the overall output of our Milwaukee public school system leaves a number of children behind. In a world where education can be a determining factor of how far you go, not just professionally, but in years of living. Lower level education, you die sooner. That's just a basic proven fact. And so Tony Evers was very accommodating and accepting of the parental choice program, where it gave a handful of families who come from impoverished backgrounds, who could have a lot of first-generation college students. It allows them to make other choices. If you can't move, because most people say, oh, well, Milwaukee school sucks, I'll move to Whitefish Bay or Fox Point. A lot of people can't do that because the property out there, the houses out there are real expensive. And if the price of the house doesn't get you, the interest rates will. And if the price of the house doesn't get you and the interest rates don't get you, the property taxes are the nail in the coffin. So we find that is not fair, so that a parent should have the option and opportunity to send their child to a higher performing school, including, here's the important part, if that school has a tuition. Now, earlier in the program, I remarked that if you don't want certain people in a place, in a space, or in a venue, you just raise the prices and then poor people can't attend. And because of the way incomes are distributed, Black people oftentimes, matter of fact, have lower incomes. So if you raise the price of admission on anything, it's going to hurt Black people more. And that's going to hurt white folks too. But it's going to hurt Black people more because, remember, white people had the option and the opportunity to actually own property and to buy houses, but our housing covenants prevented that. So even when things are getting more expensive, white folks have equity and assets that they can pull from that go back generations to where they could buy houses and we couldn't. This is why home ownership is so important, and also a significant barrier into why we have this lack of generational wealth. So we have this school choice program that has been around for damn near 40 years. And now, obviously, Democrats and liberals, they don't like it because a lot of them went to private schools, too. I can give you a whole list of elected Democrats, Chris Larson probably being chief among them, that went to a private school, went to Thomas More. He's a Democrat, very liberal, very progressive, but is against the parental choice program because why? He and other white liberals whose parents maybe had to work 2 jobs to pay that tuition don't want Black kids going for free, even though they know and they're aware of the educational disparities that impact Black children. Let me do you one better. Kelda Royce received the endorsement from WEAC, the Wisconsin Education, blah, 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 something, the teachers union, the big statewide teachers union. And Kelda's not going to win anything. She's going to win last place in this governor's race, but she sold out to WEAC, and so they gave her the endorsement on the promise that she would overturn the school choice program. There's also another candidate who is actively campaigning on overturning the school choice program if they get elected governor, and her name is Francesca Hong. So just please be aware of the Democrats, and sometimes it is smoke and mirrors. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable, and convenient source of energy delivered directly to you through underground pipelines. The pipeline system has an excellent safety record, but there are clues that can help you identify a potential hazard. If you smell the strong odor of rotten eggs, hear an unusual hissing sound, or see blowing dirt or debris, it could be a natural gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on where you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
You're listening to Milwaukee Black Talk on 101.7 FM.
The Truth.
And 1510 AM. W269DL. Milwaukee. A Milwaukee Black media company.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. I have spent the first hour of this program defining and detailing what I believe is a watershed moment in Wisconsin politics, because the Wisconsin State Supreme Court, that has a decidedly generations-long liberal bend, 5-2 liberal justices on the court. Of the 7 justices, 5 of them have been heavily democratically elected and are very liberal in their leanings. Rebecca Dallett, I always had some suspicions of, so I interviewed her at WNOV, and that was probably she had the toughest, that was one of the toughest interviews that I've ever doled out my entire career, because she recently had made a decision. Oh, it also should be known, Police Chief Jeff Norman, he ran against her. I need you to think about this now. Jeff Norman, who is currently the police chief, very well could be on the Wisconsin State Supreme Court had things gone his way. Jeff Norman is an attorney, by the way. A lot of folks didn't know that. He ran for municipal judge in 05, 06? Yeah, lost. Then there was an opening on the Milwaukee County Circuit Court where he ran against Rebecca Dallett. He lost that one as well. Full disclosure, I managed both of his campaigns. I was a kid. What do you want? I tried. Getting a black man elected judge in an open seat, really hard. In his cop background, I don't know if it helped him or it hurt him. But so I had these suspicions of Rebecca Dallett. So when I wonder, was there a primary? It might have been a primary because that was an open judicial seat. So when I interviewed her ahead of her election to the Wisconsin State Supreme Court, of course, I was urged and pushed by, other Democrats that I was way more connected to back then than I am now. I said, Sherwin, you got to get Rebecca Dallett on your show. I'm like, cool, whatever. So I did a little research on her. And there was a case that she had very recently decided where she sent a black man to prison for a long time, big prison. Here's what happened. There was there's a Citgo gas station in the area of 35th and Silver Spring. And at the time, this must have been, I think their brother got sent, because he actually called my show, ironically. I think he was sentenced around 2008 or 2009. So Rebecca Dallett had fairly recently got elected to the Milwaukee County Circuit Court. She was a branch judge. And so here's what the case was. There was a brother who was at this bus stop, or he was at the Citgo that was known at the time. It was a lot of drugs being sold in the area. So the brother was at the Citgo. The Milwaukee Police Department drove past the Citgo I believe they were going east on Silver Spring. And this brother's in a Citgo parking lot. They used to sell dope. Maybe they still do. Out of this Citgo that somewhere is right around maybe like 37th and Silver Spring. So the brother sees the police. And he darts across Silver Spring to the bus stop. Runs across the street. Police see him. In fact, I even know the cop that pulled him over. Man, Milwaukee is too small. So brother's at Citgo. Cops drive past. He runs across the street when he sees the police officer to the bus stop. We don't know why he ran. He just ran across the street. Maybe the brother was trying to catch the bus. It's irrelevant why he ran. Well, the cop saw him run across the street to the bus stop. Cop, hey, why'd you run? And the dude is like, leave me alone. I can run if I want to. Now, remember, the brother's at the bus stop. Well, then they initiated a search. No probable cause to search him. Running across the street to a bus stop, last time I checked, not illegal, not unconstitutional. Well, this cop searched the brother, found dope on him. Okay? He gets found guilty of possession. Rebecca Dallett sentences him to like an arm, a leg, a neck, a back, like big time, right? So he's doing at least a 10-piece. I don't know how much dope he had on him. I don't know if he had priors. He appealed his case. Appellate court, because remember earlier I brought up appeal courts sometimes are more powerful than the state Supreme Court because they have the ability to look at where judges screw up. They also can introduce and they can look at and preside over a new information that may come out after a case is concluded. So the appellate court on a unanimous decision was like, wait a minute, this dude never should have been found guilty because he never should have been searched in the first place. Now, is it unfortunate that he had some dope on him? That ain't the point. You can't just randomly search somebody because they run across the street when they see the police. The appellate court voted unanimously to overturn Rebecca Dallett's conviction. In that particular case, they said that Judge Dallett got it absolutely wrong. But the fact that she saw and should have known what was an unconstitutional Terry stop violated that brother's rights, but he still went to jail anyway. He gets let out on appeal. And as I was talking about that, and so when I interviewed Rebecca Dallett, I asked her about that case. I said, Judge Dallett, what can you say about this case? You know what because I asked her 5 times in a row because I needed an answer for that. Because the appellate court decision had come out fairly recently, and I basically was using what the appellate court said to attack her judicial positions when it comes to African Americans. Because if you want the black vote, because she came on my show on WNOV, you only come on my show because you want to talk to black people, the smart black ones. I got the smart blacks. Somebody else might have the less than smart blacks. I get the smart blacks. And a couple not so smart blacks, but then after they listen to me, they become a part of the smart blacks. Should get a t-shirt made for that. So I asked her to give her reasoning and her rationale on that case because I wanted an explanation from her as to why she found it legitimate, legal, and constitutional for a police officer to search a black man with no probable cause because running across the street is not probable cause. She said, well, I was endorsed by State Senator LaTanya Johnson. I was like, okay. So tell us why you decided that case. Like, what was your rationale? What was your thinking? The appellate court basically threw you under the bus and said you made a wrong decision, but you want my listeners to vote for you to put you on the state Supreme Court. I asked her the question again. You know what she said? Well, I was endorsed by Congresswoman Gwen Moore. I said, I'm going to come at you one more again. Judge Dallett, why did you make this decision that ultimately was overturned by the appellate court? The appellate court said you made the worst decision ever, and they let this man out of jail on appeal. Why did you make that decision? I was endorsed by State Senator Lena Taylor. Every time I asked her to answer the question, she told me another black person had endorsed her. And now she's on the state Supreme Court, and she was one of the 7 justices that voted to make unconstitutional a minority-based scholarship where African Americans have received tremendous benefit, including State Senator Dora Drake. How ironic is that? Lena was the senator at the time. Lena endorsed Rebecca Dallett. Lena is now a judge, and now Dora Drake is in the Senate, and Dora Drake got this exact same minority scholarship that Rebecca Dallett voted to make unconstitutional. Man, if you live long enough, everything repeats itself. That's why I don't listen to nothing these kids say. These kids think they got the world figured out. You ain't lived long enough to see these cycles. They have. They think they got it figured out. Been around 22 years. Sherwin, I know. You know literally nothing. In fact, it's oftentimes those people that Sherwin, no, this is how it's got to be, and this is why I vote. This is why I'm going to vote for the Democratic Socialist and the Liberal. I'll give you 20 years. You'll be a conservative. Because you're going to realize they've been playing in your face. Let's talk to someone who likes to play in faces. Hi, Bob. How are you? Hello, Sherwin.
Sherwin.
Oh.
You know, it's so obvious. It's so obvious in our face that you can have a spoiled white boy run this country, and he's still there. Instead of it, that Obama couldn't do, or a black man couldn't do. He would be impeached, not just impeached, he'd be impeached out of it. And I never will understand, Sherwin, and maybe you can explain it, but I never will understand why they didn't make Mexican and Indian slaves instead of going way to Africa and getting us. Even sharks was following ships, eating us up when they threw us off the ship. I mean, not me, but you know. The only positive thing is, and then I'm going to let you go, Biden put such a foot in that man's behind that he whined about he won the election for 4 years. And he walks differently because Biden put such a foot in that behind. I talk to you later.
I hope not. I hope we don't talk to you later. Biden didn't beat Donald Trump by that much. The reason why there was a handful of natives. If natives got captured, they were enslaved. But I guess point well taken. Why weren't Native Americans enslaved like Africans? Because when the colonizers came, they didn't want to take the risk on finding and being able to capture people in their own home of America. It's real hard to enslave people on their own land where they know how to hide. And remember, natives were fighting each other for territory as well. And so they were very experienced in the art of war. And they also knew the terrain and they knew the landscape where, you got to keep in mind, these European conquistadors and the colonizers, they didn't know America. Like, they didn't know the back way and the backwoods and the trails and the paths and the mountains. And they didn't know all of that. The natives would hide real good. And so you can't catch people that know the land as well as the natives did. And so Mexicans, let's be clear, there was no Mexico or Mexicans then. There was like Inca culture and Aztec culture, but those were Native Americans too. Same reason. You can't enslave people from their own house because they know where to hide. And them Incas and the Mayans, they'll cut your head off. They didn't play at all. I wish I could do an accent for an Incan or a Mayan, but. Hello, I'm a Mayan. Who are you, white man? Hi, I'm a white dude from France. I'm looking for some slaves. Ha ha! You've come to the wrong place. None of us. I don't know why I'm making the Incas and the Mayas sound like British royalty, but whatever. And the French were like, "Hey, can we steal some of you?" No, but come here for a second. We want to negotiate. And the French was like, "Cool, I'll negotiate with you." And then the Incas and the Mayas gave them like some tamales. They were eating chocolate a long time ago because, cocoa was grown, south of the United States. So they gave, "Oh, this chocolate is delicious. One day it'll be a Hershey bar." And the French people were drinking the chocolate. And then the Mayans were like, "Hey, put your head in this thing." "Oh, looks mighty familiar. We have something like this in France." Now I'm making the damn French sound like the damn English. And they just cut their heads off. And then the French were like, "Yeah, we probably can't enslave these people because they know how to cut off heads too." In France, they call it a guillotine. The Mayans call it a chopper, a neck, a de-necker, a de-header. So that explains that. I swear I should have been a history teacher. There's another thing I want to throw out there, because I don't really cover a lot of Trump stuff, because I have to demystify the media, because I'm so sick of them. I'm so sick of them. I can tell that they've been bought, and that some of the heads, like CNN or whatever, like some of the people that are leading some of these large media corporations, are sympathetic to the Trump administration, mostly because they're scared and they know that if they lose their FCC license, then they're going to lose millions and millions of dollars in revenue, and they don't want that. So they're just kind of playing along with Trump. So have you guys heard at all about the reflecting pool scandal, where there was a couple of contracts that were given? One was $1.7 million, another one was $14 million to these companies. I think both of the companies are related to like Donald Trump donors. They've given Trump money, and this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And the media is like, "Oh my gosh, we can't believe this happened." So the reflecting pool had algae in it, because if you've ever been to Washington D.C., it always does. D.C. is hot and it's humid, and algae grows in that reflecting pool. You don't swim in it, you don't drink it. It's just some water it's like the backdrop to the beautiful scene of the Washington Monument. The reflecting pool is gross. If you've been to D.C., you've seen it. It's nasty. Well, Trump decided he needed it to be cleaned. And it cost total like $15 or $16 million. And he handed out no bid contracts, which is counter and contrary to how the federal government provides contracts for services. Some of you may be familiar with the federal contracting process. It is horrible. You got to apply. You got to provide your documents. You got to have this affidavit. You got to do this. You got to give them several years of your business contracts. And then you got to wait 6 months. And then there's a competitive bidding process, because whatever department is letting that contract, maybe that's the Department of the Interior, I'm not sure which one it is, that's responsible for cleaning the damn reflecting pool. Let me be clear. That water will never be clear unless you put like chlorine in it and make it like a swimming pool. But you can't do that because people will actually swim in it. So the reflecting pool needs to be gross. Otherwise, people, maybe like myself, would jump in it naked. So it's got to be gross, okay? You don't clean it. You just, look at it. Don't look too close, okay? So Trump decided, we need to clean it because Obama left it dirty, or whatever his excuse was. So something like 15 or 16 million. That's insane. 15 or 16 million dollars of no bid contracts to these two companies, both of whom are connected to Donald Trump, and both of the companies. And one of them, here's how stupid we are, is called Green Water Technology. And this dude, his last name is Cafaro. I think his first name is Peter Cafaro, something Cafaro. Donald Trump's neighbor at Mar-a-Lago, who started Green Water Technologies during, I think, the first Trump administration. Okay? Trump gives this dude $2 million to do like some consulting on how they can clean the reflecting pool that can really never be cleaned, because it's not like they put chlorine in it. There's not pumps to remediate the algae. We don't treat it like a damn swimming pool because we don't want people to swim in it, because imagine the next 35 protests we have in Washington, D.C., and a bunch of people are in the damn water. That was money laundering. And I can't believe that the media, and they know that it was money laundering. Okay, so if Donald Trump's allies got some illegal money, some kind of way they're doing business with foreign governments, so they've got some contracts with, enemies, because that's all illegal in the United States. And let's say they want to buy something with the money. Let's say one of Donald Trump's buddies has got a contract with Vladimir Putin to do whatever. I don't know, spy on the United States, whatever. Well, if you are involved in something illegal and nefarious and you've just been paid, say, $2 million, you have to explain why you have that $2 million, especially if you want to buy something with it, because the IRS will be like, hey, hi, you just bought a condo complex for $2 million, but we don't have any record of where you got your $2 million from. Now that person, Cafaro, can say, I got the no bid contract to clean out the reflecting pool, which didn't even happen. Does that make sense to y'all? So money was taken out of the federal government. I don't know. I'm going to give a number, $150 billion because of Doge, right? They said, we got to reduce the size of the federal government, which a lot of Americans went for. But the things that they took out obviously were very harmful. But the money that was removed from the federal budget for stuff like, cancer research, becomes a separate pool of money. Let's be clear. Donald Trump had zero authority to take any money appropriated by Congress, but Congress rolled over and they let him take it. But that money can be used for Donald Trump's money laundering friends. I need y'all to follow me on this because it's happening right in front of our faces. You know how much stuff is going on in the world, and Donald Trump all of a sudden has got $15 million to clean the algae-infested reflecting pool that always has algae in it. It's gross. Everybody knows it's gross. When you clean it, it's clean for a week. People pee in it. I haven't, but, I mean, depends on how bad I got to go to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? It was so that he can give money to his friends that can explain why they might have a large lump sum of money or have a large expenditure from illegal means. He is allowing his friends to wash dirty money. And this is why this whole thing is such a joke, because one of the companies is called Greenwater Technologies. And Republicans aren't even saying anything because they absolutely know that Donald Trump is using federal tax dollars to launder money for his friends. Like when I say like supreme levels of criminal, and I also want you to brace yourselves because Donald Trump is going to get impeached for this and like 40 other things. And some people might be a little frustrated with the number of impeachments that are going to take place because you're going to want the Democrats, if they get the majority in the House and the Senate, to get back to doing the people's business. First and foremost, the people's business is to try and convict a president that stole money illegally from taxpayers and is using it as a money laundering operation for his neighbor at Mar-a-Lago. They started whole shell companies. You know, the Trump orbit is like 300 different companies because they use these Barada does the same thing. You use these shell companies so you can hide and place money and get money from illegal means and have a contract over here and launder money over there. One hand is hiding stuff from the other. It's a shell game. Shell companies, money laundering. It's an old trick, and Trump is now complicit and participatory in it. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. Improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to health care and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
For parents, choosing the right school is one of the most important decisions you'll make. At Milwaukee College Prep, we don't take that responsibility lightly. Here, your child is more than just a student. They're a young person we get to know by name, by strengths, and by the areas where they need the most support. Together as a family and as a school, we work every day to help them grow, learn, and build the confidence to reach their full potential. Milwaukee College Prep partners closely with families, provides steady support, and act early when challenges arise so that every child can thrive. Your child's growth, well-being, and success are the heart of everything we do. We would love to meet you and your child in person and share more about how we can work together. Don't wait. Seats are limited. Apply today at MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com. That is MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com, or call 414-264-6000, 414-264-6000. 0, 0, 0, 0. All right. Let's see what we got going on in the YouTube chat. Let's take a look-see. Adrian says, Sherwin, your shows haven't been recorded in the app for a while. All right. Go download the Civic Media app. Don't use the Truth app anymore. We're not. That's a Good Karma Brands app. So unless they're not on the Civic Media app, but I'll admit that I don't even have that downloaded. Xavier says that they're on the Civic Media app, or I think you can just go to the website, 1017thetruth.com. So 1017thetruth.com if you ever miss a show. And then there's also YouTube. I'll come to find out the app or podcast listeners. So people like iPhone people will get the podcast of my show from whatever you Apple people use. Android people might have Spotify. They might have Google Play. So everyone uses a different like program or app to listen to their podcast. I don't know if with us being under the ownership of Milwaukee Black Media are putting our shows on all of those different podcast platforms. Eventually, probably. But right now, we were keeping it in-house. So download the Civic Media app, or just go to 1017thetruth.com, and you always can go to the YouTube, 1017 The Truth on YouTube. And since you're on the YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I go live at 7 o'clock, which is the worst time to go live because it's summertime and I want to be out in the streets, but I do 2 radio shows a day. But there's some days in which I can't get to and cover all the stuff during this program because there's a lot happening. I want to make sure that there's a record of our conversations and our discussions and our solutions in hopes that maybe one day in the future, something that we said in one of our many very public digital conversations will be turned into policy. I have a couple of, I don't even want to call them solutions because this stuff has been thought of before, but it hasn't been thought of by the people who live in the areas surrounding the Midtown Walmart. So there are these things called community benefits packages and community benefits agreements or compacts. So we had one for the Park East corridor. So a community benefits agreement is, okay, so somebody has some land, maybe the city has some land, or there could be the sale of a large piece of real estate in the city and a new buyer comes in like we had with Walmart. I want to get into more detail about this a little bit later because I don't want to leave anything out, but I'm going to give you like a preview. So if you have some available space. And it used to be the Park East Freeway, which sat vacant for 20 years because Milwaukee County and the city of Milwaukee each own pieces of that land. So the Park East Freeway corridor is where the Fiserv Forum is where the Deer District is where all those little bars and restaurants are. That all used to be covered up by freeway. Tore the freeway down. It was like 67 acres of just vacant land in the middle of downtown that sat empty for 20 years. Because what the city and the county said is that anyone who comes in to buy this land, you got to do a bunch of stuff. And if you don't agree to all of these things, we're just going to hold on to the land. I think they held on to it for a little bit too long because we probably lost, in 20 years, $1 billion in property taxes easily, but whatever. We're getting it now. They said if you want to buy this land, and a lot of developers wanted to, there's a bunch of plans. Every 6 months, there was a new developer that came in that wanted to buy that land. Also, the old Pabst Brewery, the Pabst City project, which was supposed to bring, I think it's a big old national sports bar called Game Time. I don't even know if they're still around anymore. And also a House of Blues. There's a House of Blues in Chicago. And then Larry Flint was also going to bring a Hustler Club to the old Pabst City brewery complex. But of course, that got shut down because the lobby on Water Street didn't want competition from Pabst City. So at the same time that was going on, you had the Park East corridor that was vacant. And so there was a community benefits agreement called the Park East Compact that said any developer that wants to buy this land to put whatever you want on it, housing, shop, stores, retail, whatever, you got to hire a certain number of minority contractors. You got to hire a certain number of women-owned businesses to develop it. You have to include opportunities for job training and job placement. It was really, really super strict. And most developers were like, no, thank you. But there was a real heavy emphasis on whatever developer came in to buy that land, because the county and the city owned it. So the government can do that. They can say, there's going to be a community benefits agreement if you want to buy this land. And ultimately, the Milwaukee Bucks were like, we'll do whatever you want. We'll hire all the blacks. And so nobody wanted to buy it because the community benefits agreement was too strict. And then the only buyer that we had ultimately was our Milwaukee Bucks team, because the argument on how to develop and what to use and put on that land where the Fiserv Forum is, the debate went on for so long, the Bradley Center just started deteriorating. When the Park East Freeway, when was the Bradley Center built? 89, 90. Yeah. Okay. So when the Park East came down, the Bradley Center was only 9 years old. That land sat vacant for so long, the Bradley Center started falling apart. And then the Bucks were like, hey, the NBA says we need a new stadium because this one, I remember sitting in a suite in the upper level. Suites actually have terrible seats. They actually suck. I don't like watching basketball in suites, but first world problems. But they had these cracks in the concrete. So if you're in a suite and you're looking out over the court, and if you look up to the left or to the right, if you're in certain suites, the cracks in the concrete were 5 inches wide. The building was literally falling apart, and it would have cost more to rebuild and repair the Bradley Center than to tear the whole thing down and build a brand new one. But just think about how long that land sat vacant because no developer wanted to adhere to hiring a certain number of women-owned businesses and black-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses, paying a prevailing wage, using union labor. It was like 20 different things that a developer had to adhere to by law if they wanted to buy that land. And the only one that could even make any of that possible was the Milwaukee Bucks organization, with 50% of that money coming from the taxpayers. Something similar could have been done in Midtown. If people wanted something specific, or you wanted to keep certain things out of where that Walmart was, this is when the community comes together and says, look, whoever buys this, it could be the city that buys it, but whoever buys it, we want a certain amount of job training, job opportunities, contracting opportunities for the people that live in the district, but that never happened. And so then Mark Chambers gets elected. Somebody had purchased the Walmart before Mark got elected with no community benefits package. For 10 years, the people that live in the second district could have said, hey, for anyone who buys this Walmart, here's what we want to see. But they didn't do that. So then a buyer comes in, and then people just know to be opposed to the buyer instead of saying, hey, we've had this community benefits agreement for Midtown for a very long time, but that never happened. And so I want to make sure that I'm sharing that with people because like there is some responsibility that I think that community members have to make sure that the development that comes into their communities is suitable, but you have recourse in that you all could have created a development agreement or a compact because we had one for the Park East Freeway. So what happens is there's no agreement. And no matter who comes in, here's the thing about Milwaukee, folks. Because nobody wants Midtown because nobody wants to invest millions of dollars where a bunch of black people live. Not even other black people. Can we please just state the obvious? And if we don't want to invest millions of dollars in the black community, why should anybody else? That's just pretty simple. But when someone does say, you know, I'll take a risk, and then it's usually a development that sucks, it's something that we don't want, people are just naturally opposed to it instead of going on the offensive. Like Northridge should have been the exact same thing. The people that live in that area, and they really need some kind of development agreement because the northwest side of the city of Milwaukee is the land that time forgot. It's nothing over there but sadness. And Bailey Coleman. Because Bailey lives in the land that time forgot. You would think that Bailey lives in Brookfield. No, she doesn't. Sorry, Bales. Love you to death, babe. But you live in the land that time forgot. Like, I don't even know if they got telephone service where Bailey live at. I think they got to send telegrams. Bailey can't even send text messages. Bailey got to send Morse code. Bailey be like, dee dee da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee dee da 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 dee dee dee. That's how Bailey and Homer be preparing their shows. Homer dee dee da 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 dash dash. I'm gonna get fired. The truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right. Dee 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 back. Dee dee dee.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In Wisconsin, man, I gotta bring my other laptop over here. Because for some reason, I can't get this information on my host computer. So this laptop right here, this is a laptop that my ex-girlfriend was gonna get rid of because she said it was too old and it was outdated. She had a business. She still has it. And so she had these computers on this table. I was like, what these is? She's like, oh, these are outdated laptops. I'm thinking they're from the 1800s. Man, I opened up this laptop. I started it. I'm expecting something to be wrong with it. It started up all fast. I'm like, wait, what are you going to do with this? I'll probably just take it to the city dump. Because, you can discard your electronics at the city dump. I said, hold on, player. I'll take it. Just go ahead. It ain't going to work for you. That was in 2023. I still use this computer every single day. Here's what's crazy. This computer lasted longer than our relationship. I mean, I used to like her till I didn't no more. You know what I'm saying? She was cool in the beginning. They always are. And then I was just like, you're foul. In Wisconsin, statewide elections, Liberal and Democratic-backed candidates historically receive an estimated 80 to 85% of the total racial minority vote. Across the 5 elections that seated the current liberal state Supreme Court majority, the candidates captured a total of 4,639,375 votes. So if you look at all of the 5 liberal justices on the Supreme Court, that is how many votes they got total through each of their respective elections. It also should be noted that the whole population of Wisconsin is about 5.8 million. So in total, these liberal justices received essentially almost the state's population in raw votes. When you look at it that way, it's actually quite impressive. Rebecca Dallard in 2018 received 555,848 votes. Jill Karofsky in the 2020. And that was Rebecca Dallard's re-election. She was first elected in 2008 because that's when I interviewed her. No, she got on Supreme Court. It must have been a staggered term because this was her second term in 2018. Jill Karofsky in 2020 got 855,573 votes. Janet Protasiewicz in 2023, she crushed it. She got 1,021,307 votes. Now remember, 80 to 85% of racial minorities voted for these women, right? So helping them, of course, get elected. Susan Crawford got, these numbers just keep going up, 1,301,137 votes. And then Chris Taylor, who I also interviewed, she just got elected this past spring to the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. She got 905,510 votes. Total minority electorate. I'm giving you the context of how many people of minority racial status in the state of Wisconsin voted to put these liberal justices on the state Supreme Court. And these liberal justices sided with the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, which is about as conservative an organization. Anytime a black person or minority person gets an opportunity, will sue the company that gave the black person the opportunity. That's what Will does. That's what they do. They sue for white people. The 5 liberal justices sided with Will and with the 2 conservative justices on the court to make unconstitutional a scholarship that addresses minority students and their sometimes lack of funding for college. Wisconsin State Senator Dora Drake benefited from this same scholarship that is now unconstitutional. And the reason why this is problematic, it's problematic for a number of reasons, because this killing that scholarship program goes into effect now. So a student that may have received it no longer can receive it because it is deemed unconstitutional. There's a DEI referendum on the ballot in November, and a lot of you don't know that because the candidates running as Democrats aren't even talking about it. The court had 3 or 4 different options, but instead they voted 7-0 with Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty, and they voted with the 2 conservative justices to take away minority scholarship opportunities for students going to any of the UW schools. And the court did not have to make this decision. They could have said it was narrowly tailored enough. They could have said, you know what, we're going to kick it back down to a lower court. They could have opted not to take the case at all. Or they could have said, let's let the voters decide, because the DEI referendum that's going to be on the ballot in November, which, again, none of the Democratic candidates are talking about. Because I want some of you to try and grasp this. There is no motivation to engage black people in this current election cycle in Wisconsin. None. Zero. Because if they can get elected to any office without the black vote, then you do not have to be beholden to the issues of black people. And we can be a burden because we ask for a lot. We want opportunities. We want reparations. We want equality. We want diversity, equity, and inclusion. We want all that stuff. But if you can get elected and not have to be beholden to all of those things, it actually makes your life a lot easier, because we also got to keep in mind, in Wisconsin, the whites are 79% of the population. Now, here's the other thing. The other 21% can be the difference in your statewide election. But I think in these days and times, because now Trump has made the guilt that some white people felt because of their privilege, like the whole George Floyd thing, totally worn off. It's a bad cold that America had for a couple of years, that and COVID. But then when COVID ran its course, so did the sympathy for George Floyd. Donald Trump has done a lot of things that are going to be permanent fixtures in our democracy, and we as black people need to be conscious of them. One of them was black people, we don't matter nearly as much because most of what we have gained that we thought we earned rightfully and fairly can be taken away. Let this also be a reminder to other minority groups, including women. Ladies, we love you so very much, and we're proud of all the progress that you've made, but the progress that you made was given. Y'all got affirmative action too. Women are included in DEI too. So the progress we think that we have rightfully earned, the way it was given is the way it can be taken away. Donald Trump has made it okay for white people of any political affiliation, because your politics doesn't supersede your race. I don't know why people think that. Oh, Sherwin, they're a good one. They're a good one because they liberal. Sometimes liberals are the worst. Donald Trump made it okay to be white again. It's okay for white people to assume their rightful position, all this diversity, all this equity. That, I think it got old really, really quick, because even a white liberal doesn't like to be outnumbered by minorities. Even if they have a policy at a white liberal company, and every now and again you'll get a few, they're not going to be 51% black. Are you nuts? Well, we'll hire a couple of you. We're not going to hire all of you. Why would I do that? We're liberal, but we're not that liberal. I'm going to take a break, come back. I'm sure Linda has a lot to say because she's holding on line 1, so everyone brace yourself for her. We'll talk to her on the other side. If you want to be like Linda, or, I don't know, be like me, which I don't recommend, 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017 is our call-in number. Don't go anywhere. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
At Milwaukee College Prep, we believe brilliance lives in every child. Here, students are challenged, supported, and celebrated every single day. With small class sizes, dedicated teachers, and a proven track record of academic excellence, MCP is helping Milwaukee kids reach their fullest potential. Enrollment is still open for grades K-3 through 8. Apply today. Give your child a school where they'll thrive. Visit mkeprep.com or call today. Milwaukee College Prep, brilliance lives here.
The Homer Blow Foundation, Inc., nonprofit 501c3, and our presenting sponsor, Beta Philanthropies, Inc., invites you to the 32nd annual Homer Blow birthday party for the kids on Saturday, June 27th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. for kids ages 2 to 13 years old at the Fitzsimmons Boys and Girls Club and Metcalf School, located at 3400 West North Avenue on 34th and North. Admission is absolutely free, and after 32 years, you already know how it goes down. And this year, don't miss the kids' phone party. Shout out to our platinum sponsors, the Office of Early Childhood Initiative, Mighty Small Moments, the Brewers Community Foundation, Spectrum, and Westcare, Wisconsin. Our gold sponsors, Maleka Early Learning Center, Liquid, formerly the Oasis, Unite WI, Community Health Primary Care Services, LLC, the Greater Milwaukee Urban League, Eisenberg, Riley, and Zimmerman, and the New Pitts Mortuary. Our silver sponsors, Mr. B's Privilege Lounge and Dog City, along with Running Rebels and Griffin CDL Institute. Limited vendor spaces available. If you'd like to support or make a donation, email homerblowfoundation@gmail.com or call 414-248-4954.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Locked and Lovely says, I mentioned earlier that these female liberal justices never ran on a platform of advancing minority issues. All of them had platforms which focused on advancing women's issues. Women are the ultimate minorities, though, which is interesting because women actually are the majority, but still have, receive, and qualify for minority status. But and I think that there's no law student that graduates and gets their Juris Doctorate degree. Just a little side note, lawyers are doctors. JD, which stands for Juris Doctorate, it actually is a form of doctorate degree. Few of them graduate from law school and begin practicing law without knowing the impact that court decisions have had on the advancement of people in America. Dred Scott decision forward. So they know. And when they come to black media outlets to try and get the black vote, they know that we're aware of decisions that were made at the courts, like Brown versus Board of Education, and how justices have played a role in administering and protecting justice. And so do they ever say, oh, when I get on the court, I'm going to protect all of the black people? No, they can't say that. But what they can do is they can say, oh, I agree with X, Y, Z, A, B, and C court decisions. Oh, I think the court made a good choice in this decision, that decision. And oftentimes it's decisions that can impact the lives or have impacted the lives of black people, you see. So while I understand your commentary, Locked and Lovely, they approach the black electorate, especially if they're a liberal-leaning justice, they approach it like a Democrat. And we know what Democrats have done legislatively in the last 60 or 70 years to help the advancement of black people. Let's talk to Linda. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Good morning, Professor, and all of the beautiful black and white people of Black Truth, Milwaukee.
Hold on, Linda. Just black people. Just black people. Leave the whites out of this today.
Well, yeah. Sherwin, I'm going to go over. Yeah, I want because man, I tell you, listen. You provoke me in ways I'm trying to tell you. I just have to calm down before I call and take a breath. I tell you. But that one fella in the chat, I had to let him have it. But I want to say, Sherwin, that all of these obstacles that racist America, including and especially racist white women, no matter what they implement, no matter what obstacles, Sherwin, that they've always, implemented on our path. Come on now. We have mastered it and surpassed it. And we're going to do it every freaking time, again and again. You know why? Because it's in our DNA series. You can't demolish an original. Come on, man. Albert Einstein said, racism is the mental disease of white people. Back in his day, it is a mental disease, and we got to show up for that. No war is fair, and racial war sure ain't fair. So we got to get up and wake up and stop thinking we are in this illusion of freedom. Man, because guess what? While they are, using the unconstitution, because it is unconstitutional, when you have human beings as 3/5, the whole thing is unconstitutional. So when they use that to validate racism, we must understand that the power is in the complexion connection. No matter what words they use, it's all about the complexion connection. Linda, and they know that's the
we got to leave it there because I got to take a break. But I think she was on to something, but I just can't talk to her forever because I got to start my Hour 3. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back for Hour 3.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Make your home and family safer by properly getting rid of nasty chemicals and fire hazards. MMSD's Home Hazmat program offers 3 drop-off centers that are open all year long. It's fast and easy. You don't even have to get out of your car. And it's free to visit a drop-off. Lithium-ion batteries, old gas, propane tanks, they take all of that and more. For a list of things you can and cannot bring, locations and hours, go to MMSD.com. Milwaukee County residents only. No businesses.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
You're listening to Milwaukee Black Talk on 101.7 FM.
The Truth.
And 1510 AM. W269DL. Milwaukee. A Milwaukee Black media company.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to hour 3 of The Truth with me, Sherwin Hughes. Let's go right to the YouTube chat. Locked and Lovely says, actually, earlier the term I used for minority were people of color. None of those liberal judges who were running ever mentioned being supportive of policies that impact people of color. So when judges run, I think the public sometimes gets this confused because we're told that they're liberal justices and liberal candidates. They'll be backed by the Democratic Party and Democratic organizations because technically any political group or political party can back anybody they want to, right? That's basic First Amendment stuff. But the judges can't run and say, I'm a Democrat. They can't say that because they have to be above partisanship. But what they'll do is I ask them questions about like their background, their history, their resume, and their judicial temperament, right? And when I ask the judicial temperament question, you're supposed to be able to read between the lines, which most people can't, on where their political affiliations lie. They'll tell you stuff like, I worked in the Peace Corps in Africa, or I did volunteer work in the Central City, or I did free legal work for hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Legal Aid Society. And so they will mention things in their history and in their background that lend themselves to being understanding and sympathetic to minority populations. So in this case, with the declaring unconstitutional this minority scholarship program, because when we use the term people of color, all people of color don't get along. There's many brown people that I don't like, and I'm not allied with them. Women are also, right, a big group, they're the biggest electorate in America. You think all women get along? They do not. All people of color don't get along either. So let's understand nuance. But if you are of a minority classification, there are some things that minorities may have in common in America. There is less opportunity for them because they can't vote their way to it because there are, in fact, less of them. Something else that we know is that certain minority groups, other than the Asians, who are kicking everybody's butt in every possible way, Asians out-earn white people. So think about that for a second. minorities might be more likely to live in poverty, may disproportionately take advantage of anti-poverty programs. They are less likely to be of high income, and their kids are less likely to go to college. So even though minorities are competing against one another for jobs, opportunity, and seats in high-performing colleges and schools, we have all in common that we are less represented at those schools than we should be. A lot of times in these UW schools, the black enrollment is way less and a smaller percentage than the overall black population in the state of Wisconsin. And I can provide reasons and details for that due to the public school system here in Wisconsin that does still impact black children negatively. 1993, I think it was, a student by the name of Diallo Shabazz attended UW-Madison. In 1994, a picture of him was taken somewhere on campus. And then in the UW athletic program, I think right around the year 2000, his picture, however they got it, was superimposed on the athletic program for UW-Madison, I think right around the year 2000. And then people saw it's a picture of Camp Randall in the student section. But right in the middle, with no body attached, was this picture of Diallo Shabazz, who is very much African. And people were saying, like, oh, Diallo, you're on the cover of this year's UW-Madison athletic program. He's like, huh? Like, yeah, they have a picture of you at Camp Randall in the middle of the student section. He was like, I've never been to a football game in my life. So the university finally admitted that they couldn't even find, it's Madison now, they couldn't even find a black person to photograph in the student section to put on their program for that year. So they found a picture of a random black man who I think at that time had already completed his course of study at UW-Madison, because there were so few African Americans or black people or whatever enrolled at UW-Madison. They just found his picture. And when you look at the picture, it's insane because it's just a floating head. And like the sun is shining on his face, but the rest of the students in the student section are all shaded. Like it looks obvious and false. And so the university took a lot of heat for basically stealing this person's likeness and putting it on the cover of the athletic program of that particular year to show diversity. After that, a series of, because then UW-Madison had to do an about face. They're like, well, we're sorry, but we don't have enough black students. And so then more scholarships were opened up because of that photograph and that mishap. And UW-Madison saying we are embarrassed that we couldn't find any black people to diversify this photo. But also Madison, especially back then, it's not very diverse. And Madison is just a weird place. It feels like, and I know Madison people get mad when I say this because I got very good friends that are in Madison and work in Madison. But some of my good friends that are in Madison and work in Madison, they're from here. They're just out there for the opportunity. They remind me of the black people in Get Out. Like they're all, like black people were traveling to like Minnesota and they stopped for gas in Madison. And then they got hypnotized. And then a white person like took their soul. And now you have a whole bunch of black people in Madison that all look. Yeah, have you guys seen the movie Get Out, the Jordan Peele film? And how the white people steal the bodies of black people and they look at you with that 1,000-yard stare. That's what it feels like, because the Madison blacks are. They're indoctrinated in a kind of liberalism that actually hates them. You know, the black people are 10 times more likely to be pulled over by the police in Madison. Their racial profiling in Madison is worse than it is here. So when you think of a liberal, and I got to try and get my people out of this mode of thinking that liberals like us, are you insane? Take the liberal part out of it. They're just white at the end of the day. They don't like Republicans. They don't like Trumpers, and rightfully so, because some of them have been hurt by Trump policies. But that doesn't mean that they like us. Like, we see it as binary. Like, oh, this white person is a Democrat. They're a liberal. They're a progressive. They don't like Trump. Therefore, they must like us. Where do we even get that math equation from? No, they don't like us. They'll tolerate us. Maybe. They'll also steal from us, too. All right, people over here talking about Midtown. I got to get to that. Like a community, if you want, okay, let's say there's a vacant like asset or property in your community and you're worried about the wrong group coming in, the wrong developer coming in, you can work with local elected officials. Nobody ever does it, but you can work with, because you can be proactive. And the people at Northridge, I don't know what's going on with Northridge. You might as well let Northridge sit vacant forever. Or just plant, like, I don't know, put a big garden out there. What are you going to do? It's the land and time forgot. Nobody really cares. The community can say, hey, look, whoever comes and develops this, here's what we must see, and we'll be on board with a development that includes a certain amount of jobs of all skill levels. Because you guys got to know, when you ask for jobs at a development, they'll give you jobs, but it's going to be jobs the community doesn't have the education or the qualifications for. So they're going to be honest in their promise to deliver jobs. Y'all aren't going to get those jobs, but they'll say, oh, no, we created 392 jobs. And then we'll have the nerve to get mad and say, yeah, but the jobs went to people that are from somewhere else. Yeah, because we opened up the search to the community and nobody had an engineering degree. I'm starting to see, and maybe I'm wrong, and you'll tell me if I am, because you always do, never fail. People that have a skill and professional experience that is of value in the market and in the economy usually make more than minimum wage. And I'm not being mean to minimum wage workers, but a lot of minimum wage workers don't have a highly specific skill that's worth more than $7.25 an hour. Now, sometimes they do. If you got to take another job, or if you're whatever your technical skill, your expertise is, maybe that field is not hiring or it's contracting. Not a lot of coders, information technologists, like financial advisors and financial plan. Not a lot of them making $7. Maybe a few, but if you have a skill set that you can sell in the marketplace, people are going to pay you more than $7. It's for the folks that don't, because we think that everyone just needs a job, but with no skill whatsoever. And we're expecting an employer to subsidize somebody's job training. And it's really, really sad, because you have people in their 20s and in their 30s. They don't know how to do anything. It makes me wonder, like, how did you even get to 36 years old and you don't have a skill? Like, what do you got to be good at something. Playing video games is not a skill. It's a replacement for sex. Let's talk to. Hi, Al. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Number one, you have to invest into yourself. If you choose not to invest into yourself, well, enjoy that $7. If you like it, I love it. We can't make you do better. That's free will. Number two, for some, you have mass manipulators, devils, and snakes. But they all know how to put that racism aside when they want that big black penis with a warm load and that black woman with them warm insides. They know how to put that racism aside. But what we must do is we must continue to push to be our best. And if we don't push to be our best and be lifelong learner, we're going to keep getting the end of the stick. But my question to you is, why is it when it comes to certain black politicians, or I use Crowley, why would you indulge and jump into a race if you was going to turn into a woman's vagina and just drag your feet? I feel that is doing a disservice to black people who were actually looking to embrace you to get black people to where they need to go. But if you feel, or any black politician feel, if you are afraid of speaking on black people issues, because you are afraid of losing white issues, you should have never got in the race. You should have been a good colored and stayed in a colored place, because that's doing a disservice to black people. And on top of that, you are a black man. But then when you have white people running against you, now you want to pull your penis between your two booty cheeks and get a vagina? That does not make you look too good. So my question to you, why do these black politicians indulge in something, but when it gets too thick and it gets white, now they want to fall back? You might as well go to Victoria's Secret and get you a pair of panties, because obviously them horse ducks ain't big enough and that D ain't too big if you're turning into a vagina when it comes to white people. And if it's like that, don't ask for no black people MF and votes, okay? We're not worried about the other dude. What's his name? The other dude with the 5 o'clock shadow.
Mandela?
To keep Mandela. We knew you wasn't for black people when you was on cable TV on Channel 14 with the cowboy hat. We knew you wasn't for black people. That's why we never depended on you. F you and keep it pushing. But for you, Crowley, why would you indulge and jump into a race and then get weak when you got to run up against white people? We don't need people like that. Don't even call us to fight. Because you might call us to fight and then call the police on us. Okay? So you need to find all this out before you jump into any race. And that goes for the rest of you black politicians that's sitting there gripping your teeth. Because we talk about you too. Because some black people voted for you when they knew you was no good from the rooter to the Tula. And if you offended, SOB, be offended. And I'll hang up and listen. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ooh-wee. That's... buddy, I tell you.
How you feel about that?
Supposed to get a little rain, I think, in the forecast maybe tomorrow. Today, small craft advisory. Waves on Lake Michigan cresting right around 3 feet. So, got a small craft, be advised. So, yeah, summer is going to start soon. It's supposed to be in the 80s on Sunday. That'll feel nice because we like when the weather's warm. So that's how that goes. I don't know why we relegate the female anatomy, the woman's reproductive organ. Like, you'll call a man who's weak a slang for that body part. Side note, many years ago, I dated a Ukrainian woman, and her English wasn't perfect, but for the most part, I could understand what she was saying. And whenever she got her monthly cycle, she wouldn't call it that. She would say, Sherwin, my vagina very angry this week. That's what she would say. It was angry. So, but why do we, I'm just curious. Like, please don't answer, because I know you guys are probably going to actually answer. I don't want to hear your answers. I'm just speaking out loud. But why do we relegate something that's like soft and something that's weak and something that's easily defeated? Why do we call it a slang term for a woman's reproductive area? Because when you think about it, it's actually really, really tough. People come out of it. That's not associated with being weak. You know what I mean? Like, and it takes a pounding. It does. It really is it's hardy. It's sturdy. It's stout. But we always say, oh, you're being one of the many slang words for a lady's female anatomy. I never understood that, because it's tougher than what we have as fellas, because you can just flick us and we're folded over. We'll fold like a piece of paper. Fellas, you ever been just lightly grazed? It feels like you're having a stroke. It's very, very hurtful. It does. But then we call a woman's anatomy like, oh, that person is weak. They're a, you know the word, the people, I can't say it on the radio because it's naughty. But we always associate that woman's female, like her anatomy, with something being weak. And it's, I mean, it'll probably hurt if you kicked it, but not like if you kick us. There have been very few men that are able to continue the fight. And you don't even got to hit it hard. You can just go like this. Blink. You just flick one of our huevos. You just nick it. It's just I gotta take a break. Nitty walks into the producer studio when I'm saying wild stuff, and he's got to be thinking to himself, why do I want to go on air after this guy? Like, I don't. God, I'd hate to follow me. All right, let's take a break, huh? Oh, our YouTube poll of the day. Do you support DEI programs? Yes or no? 90% of you say yes. 79 people have voted. I'd like to think that the people that voted 90% to 10% in favor of DEI programs are likely election voters. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to read you what the referendum verbatim is going to say on our November ballot. Now, it's going to lose. And the state Supreme Court actually preempted this ballot referendum. So I'm going to talk about that. But also, the firm that got the no-bid pool contract tied to Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago neighbor. And I do want to touch on that because I want people to know that your president is allowing people to launder money with your tax dollars. And I get angry at the media because we got, what is this, Channel 6 is on, and then we got CNN right here. They're both, oh, look, they even have the reflecting pool. And look, there's somebody that's showing it on CNN right now. That was a money laundering operation. And people are just, I don't want to call people stupid, but would you call stupid people other than stupid? Intellectually challenged? No, because that's not fair, because some people are intellectually challenged and are smarter than stupid. Okay, I'm going to take a break. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Now with less stupid. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day, when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way, improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to health care and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This reminds me of like a 1980s cop movie where the cop is torn between his duty to the police and the woman he loves, and he's going for a drive in a convertible up the California coast. He's just driving, contemplating. What is he going to do? He's going to vote for a liberal judge. That's what he's going to do. Read the referendum for you. Question 1. Governmental entity discrimination prohibited. Shall Section 27 of Article 1 of the Constitution be created to prohibit government entities in the state from discriminating against or granting preferential treatment to any individual or group on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in public employment, public education, public contracting, or public administration. On its face, you're going to say no. Because you're basically asking for excuses for the government to be able to provide opportunities based on race, based on sex, color, ethnicity, and national origin. When I say that this referendum is going to here's what's crazy. Voting no is changing the Constitution to ban looking at race, gender, anything in any kind of public accommodation. But particularly in college enrollment in the U.S., not the U.S., the state Supreme Court that is chocked full of liberal judges basically started this referendum with a decision that they made the day before Juneteenth Day, which takes away scholarships that some black adults received to go to UW this fall. And like I said earlier, there might be, it's something like 2,200. I don't know what it is for all races, but like 2,200 black students have some form of scholarship based upon them being African American, and then a whole bunch of other qualifying factors, first generation college student, first generation American. So imagine if those 2,200 students, some of them are going to go to Howard, and some of them are going to go to Morehouse, some of them are going to go to NYU and Columbia, whatever. But a number of them are going to go to UW schools, and they got this grant or this financial aid package based upon the fact that they were black, and this was not their original country of origin, and they're a first-generation college student. The scholarship that they received is now unconstitutional, and some of them will not be able to make up for the scholarship that they lost. Some of them are not going to be able to attend the UW schools that they were accepted in and are committed to. And when those seats open up, because some of these students are going to say, well, yeah, I can't afford college anymore because I lost this grant because of the state Supreme Court's ruling. Guess who's going to get those seats? The people that always thought that they were entitled to every single seat at UW-Madison and every other UW school where enrollment is limited, and maybe in a particular class, there were more black freshmen than others or more Latino freshmen. Now, some of those students who don't have the money to pay for the expensive tuition may drop out of school altogether, opening up seats for the majority folk in the state. Governmental entity discrimination prohibited. Shall Section 27 of Article 1. Actually, no, a yes vote. I'm so damn confused by this. Let's read it again, shall we? Question 1. This is how it's going to appear on your ballot in November when you go vote for, I don't know who you're going to vote for. Some of y'all going to vote for Tom Tiffany. Some of y'all might vote for yourselves. Some of y'all might vote for Sherwin Hughes. Don't do it. Worst thing that could ever happen for this country is if I get elected governor. Gotta be the worst job in the world. I don't even know what I'd do. I'd probably take a nap first. Congratulations, Governor Hughes. What's your first order of business? I don't know. I'm finna lay down. I didn't. Governmental entity discrimination prohibited shall Section 27 of Article 1 of the Constitution be created to prohibit governmental entities. Oh, so voting yes is ending DEI. Shall Section 27 of Article 1 of the Constitution be created to prohibit governmental entities in the state from discriminating against or granting preferential treatment to any individual or group on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in public employment, public education, public contract, so minority contracting, that's dead too, or public administration. This is the exact question text specified in the enrolled joint resolution for submission to voters. A yes vote would support adding this new Section 27 to Article 1 of the Wisconsin Constitution. For reference, the full proposed constitutional text of Section 27 that voters would ratify includes additional details such as the definition of government entity, exceptions for federal program eligibility, and provisions for bona fide sex-based qualifications. However, the ballot itself presents only the concise question above. So you want to vote no. Don't create we don't need a new section of the Constitution to prohibit the aforementioned. I hope that clears it up. It probably did not. Miles said that he needs another. You can't vote in this poll because you need more options. No. Sometimes it's yes or no. And you're African. Do you support DEI or not? You need more answer. Well, I got an answer for you. Hope you got your citizenship, African man. You need more. What? You know. Yes or no. It's binary. I know when you go to the store, you can buy 37 different kind of beverages. Remember back in the day when you only had Coke and Pepsi and Sprite? Remember Fruitopia? I remember it. Remember, what's another one? They still make Snapple. Snapple in the bottles. You got a lot of choices now. You can buy energy drinks. Don't drink energy drinks. I drank an energy drink one day before one of my radio shows. I thought I was going to have a heart attack on the air. Like my mouth was talking, but my brain was in Tahiti. It was weird. It felt, those energy drinks got dope in them, I think. Because cocaine used to be in Coca-Cola. That's where it got its name from. And then a conspiracy theory was created. Did you guys know why cocaine is illegal? Cocaine used to be in everything back. So did heroin. Heroin used to be totally legal. Nah, it's probably good that those things were made illegal. But I can't say this with a straight face. Cocaine was made illegal in the early, probably 1920s, maybe about 100 years ago, because there was a conspiracy that if black men got high on cocaine, they would be more likely to want to sleep with white women. So they blamed cocaine for that. So Congress passed a law that made cocaine like really super illegal, because apparently when the black men get tooted up, they want to sleep with white women, which everybody knows is true, but you don't have to blame the cocaine. I'm sorry. What is happening to me? The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products pricing and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable, and convenient source of energy delivered directly to you through underground pipelines. The pipeline system has an excellent safety record, but there are clues that can help you identify a potential hazard. If you smell the strong odor of rotten eggs, hear an unusual hissing sound, or see blowing dirt or debris, it could be a natural gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom? She started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Chris Taylor was elected in 2026 to the state Supreme Court with 905,510 votes. Susan Crawford was elected in 2025 with 1.3 million votes. Janet Protasiewicz was elected in 2023 with 1.021 million votes. Jill Karofsky was elected in 2020 with 855,573 votes. Rebecca Dallett was reelected in 2018 with 555,848 votes. So it looks like the share of raw Wisconsin votes that liberal justices get has gone up pretty dramatically, from Rebecca Dallett receiving 500,000 votes and Susan Crawford receiving 1.3 million. That basically doubled the number of votes that liberal justices have received. Across these 5 spring elections, a combined total of approximately 8,259,000 ballots were cast by all voters. Applying a baseline assumption that racial minority voters averaged 11% of the turnout across these different election cycles, approximately 908,490 total minority votes were cast. This is all minority groups together. Applying an estimated average support of 82%, because that is the percentage on average that a minority voter votes for the Democratic or liberal candidates. All 5 liberal justice candidates combined to receive an estimated 744,961 raw votes from racial minority communities. That's sizable. 82% of minority voters voted for these liberal justices who made a decision to end minority scholarships in the state of Wisconsin and a few other things. Anything that is race-based has now been made unconstitutional, and we're going to have a new constitutional amendment to solidify this forever. Now, there is somewhat of a recourse. Legislation can be passed in order to address this state Supreme Court decision and potentially to address the constitutional amendment, but this would require some things. The same minority voters who have lost scholarship opportunities are going to have to put their faith in Democratic and or liberal candidates once again to hope that they get it right come January of 2027, because we do need a Democratic majority in the Senate and in the Assembly. And we need a Democrat to beat Tom Tiffany in November, and I am not sold yet. This morning I saw Sarah Rodriguez's TV commercial, Joel Brennan's TV commercial, and Kelda Roy's TV commercial. No Franny Pants. No Fella Mandela, and no David Crowley. I don't know what rhymes with Crowley. So maybe they're waiting until Kelda running TV commercials is like me attending a Bucks training camp and thinking I'm going to get signed. Oh, maybe they'll let me dribble. But shout out to Kelda, who has just lost it. She's run for governor one other time, and then she also ran for Congress. And when she gonna hate me for that. I know Kelda, she was in law school. So I'm gonna get in trouble for saying it. Okay, so Kelda ran for Congress, I think, in the 2nd district, which is Tammy Baldwin's old congressional district. That's the gay district. I mean, that's not me being mean to the gays. But Tammy Baldwin is the first, because she was elected in the 90s, she was the first out lesbian to run in Congress and to win. And then she was the first out U.S. senator ever. So her district, which is a lot of Madison, vote for gays. And then Mark Pocan is the current inhabitor of the 2nd congressional district. Kelda literally put a post on Twitter before she was about to run for Congress because she knew she was running in the gay district against a gay man. Kelda came out as bisexual just for political expediency. But I'd shout out to her for trying anything to get elected. Unfortunately, none of it works. Kind of like Stacey Smither. Like, he tries a bunch of stuff, too, to try and get elected, and he doesn't. Let's talk to the caller. You're on 101.7 The Truth.
Mr. Hughes, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And happy day after Father's Day, belated, to you.
Thank you.
As a dad.
You too.
Thank you. A little bit hoarse, so I just, want to go over some of the stuff that I heard you say. So 700,000 people supported these people, and these are the people who let those people's children down, right?
Yes, 744,961 votes for the liberal Supreme Court justices were cast by people of racial minority status. Yes.
And it was unanimous, I thought I heard you say.
7-0. The 2 conservatives voted to end racial preference college scholarships, as did the 5 liberals that were overwhelmingly supported by racial minorities. Again, yes.
So in my mind, I flipped this and wondered. I don't have to wonder. I'm pretty sure of what would happen if this were reversed. If like some DEI initiative that was new was supported by people who were MAGA judges. Already there would probably be politicians in the area who were calling for, those people to be ousted the next time when it comes up for election, right?
If a MAGA justice voted to uphold, maintain, and increase DEI, there probably would be some backlash. That is correct, from the MAGA faithful, because they would be supporting something that is anti-MAGA agenda. Yes.
And if let's say there were 2 liberals and then 5 of them supported DEI that were MAGA, we might have another January 6th, correct?
No, it wouldn't go that far. Well, so here's the ultimate way to look at it. When you do something that harms, whether it be black people, Asian people, anybody of a racial minority, there's no consequence. None.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the only benefit to helping us is only benefit that we see. It's antagonistic to white people, which we got to be clear are the overwhelming population in Wisconsin, and they're the overwhelming number of voters. So helping black people really only benefits, even though we can make the case where it benefits everybody because the world is more fair. But if you harm black people, there's no consequence to that. Like, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to protest. If we do protest, it's easy to ignore.
Right. The other thing that I heard you talk about was something that I also heard other people talking about this week is the shrinkage of population by white people in this nation.
Yes.
I wish I could name this guy. There was actually this maniac on Fox News not long ago, because they were talking about how since 1991, birth rates for young girls 15 to 19 had shrank about 68%.
Yes.
Which is a great thing, which means that some of the things that they were doing in the 90s and initiatives that were made have worked. But because of the shrinkage of the white population, he was talking about it as if, the way that they do DEI, as if it were a negative that specifically this man said, and I'll name him next time I call you, 15 to 19-year-olds are not having children as often. He said that as if it was a negative on a national news telecast.
It is.
So I'd like to name that creep at some point when I call you back, and the fact that you mentioned it today, I found very interesting.
All right, thank you, the caller. I appreciate you chiming in. If you want your populations to rise, you need teen pregnancy. Listen to me. In the minority groups whose populations have gone up, a bunch of teenage girls are getting pregnant. For the long-term sustainability and increase of your majority, you need girls and women of every single age to get pregnant. They have a term for it. It's called natalism. We are literally encouraging. Donald Trump even said, if you get pregnant, we're going to give you $2,000. Now, he lied about that. But he wanted to give cash incentives for having babies. There's European countries that do it all the time. Because white people just writ large across the world, their population is just older. Just demographically, that's how it's shaping up. Nobody did anything on purpose. But they're at a post-reproductive age just as an average. Black people, Indians, Chinese people are younger demographically, and more people of those ethnicities and nationalities are in the pre-reproductive stages, meaning as time goes on, more of them are going to be in the age in which people are going to be having children. Nobody wants to be outnumbered. That's the part that I think we don't see objectively as black people. Just like if a neighborhood used to be like a black cultural mecca, and then now it's a bunch of white people with Starbuckses and Trader Joe's, like, we lament that. We're like, we used to own this neighborhood. We used to live here. Now we're not here anymore. White people don't want to lose their country because they did a lot of stuff to maintain it. Now, I'm just being objective about it. It may sound like I'm cold, but if you're looking at it from their perspective, why would they cede any territory to any other racial group? Because they fear the competition and they may get replaced. Hence the name of the theory. Replacement theory. Look it up. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
At Milwaukee College Prep, we believe brilliance lives in every child. Here, students are challenged, supported, and celebrated every single day. With small class sizes, dedicated teachers, and a proven track record of academic excellence, MCP is helping Milwaukee kids reach their fullest potential. Enrollment is still open for grades K-3 through 8. Spaces are limited. Apply today. Give your child a school where they'll thrive. Visit mkeprep.com or call today. Milwaukee College Prep, brilliance lives here.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about 4 walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
A little more detail before I get out of here. We'll continue this conversation this evening at 7 p.m. on the Hughes Views 414 YouTube page. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, get you some. It's uncensored too. Sometimes Al calls in. You ever heard Al uncensored? Make your hair on your neck stand up. The principal race-conscious aid program in the University of Wisconsin system is called the Lawton Undergraduate Minority Retention Grant Program. It is now unconstitutional. It was created by the Wisconsin legislature in 1986. Can you imagine that? In 1986, the Wisconsin legislature said, you know what? We need to have a grant that increases minority enrollment at the UW system. And you know who was governor then? I think it was Tommy Thompson, which is crazy. Republican. This grant is specifically intended for African American students, Hispanic, Latino students, Native American students, certain Southeast Asian students. Remember, this is an unconstitutional grant now. Certain Southeast Asian students, including Hmong, Cambodian, Laotian, and Vietnamese populations, defined by statute. Estimated share of minority students that receive financial aid, 80%. Estimated share of minority students in Wisconsin that receive Pell Grants or need-based grants, 50%. Add in another 10% receiving race-conscious or statutory minority-specific aid, and then another 5% that receive aid that is exclusively race-based. So we're looking at 95% of racial minorities in the UW system receive some kind of aid based on the fact that they are racial minorities. It is now unconstitutional in Wisconsin. With the help of the liberal justices, that 744,000 minority voters elected in recent state Supreme Court races. Let's hear from Will. Do I have a statement from Will? Oh, I do. Look at here. The Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, Will, secured, they're calling a significant victory for true equality under the law at the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I never thought in a million years that I would hear Will, Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, which is about as conservative a legal organization as you will find anywhere on planet Earth, praising a liberal Supreme Court. The court ruled, this is from the Will statement, the court ruled that racially discriminatory minority undergraduate retention programs was unconstitutional and that taxpayers have standing in court to challenge such programs. Do you know what that means? If a black person gets a scholarship based on the fact that they're a racial minority, a white person can sue and can win. They can sue us out of college money. Will Managing Vice President and Deputy Counsel Dan Lennington stated, quote, "This is a major win for students. Race cannot be used to dole out scholarships and other financial aid," he says. This is also a big win for taxpayers who can now challenge many other race-based programs in state court. Will is proud to stand for equal rights and make that case everywhere we can. Dog whistle to white people. If your baby didn't get into UW-Madison because one of these Negroes did, see if that Negro got any grants or any scholarships based on their race, and then you sue the Negro. Sue the UW system. They're going to take away the scholarship and the grant money from the Negro child, and your white child will be able to go to the same school their grandpappy went to. Their decision, the court stated, quote, "We conclude that the taxpayers have standing and that the grant program violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment," which is more of a slap in our face because the 14th Amendment is ours. Black people get equal protection under the law. Now, the white people are saying, well, that's not fair if a black person can get a scholarship. Are you understanding how they're using the Constitution against us? They're using a Reconstruction Amendment. The 12th, 13th, and 14th Amendment, or the 13th, 14th, and 15th. There's three of them. Basically, 10% of the Constitution exists to give black people rights. Equal protection means the 14th Amendment. Black people get equal protection under the law. You know what it means now? White people get that equal protection. The reason why we have the 14th Amendment is because of racism, and now the white people are using it to their benefit. Thank you for listening. Lunch break is up next.
Want to save money on energy bills? With free tools from We Energies, you're in control. Manage your energy use with easy tips. Earn rebates on home upgrades, calculate your energy use, create savings goals, view and compare bills, and more. With We Energies, the energy info you need is at your fingertips. Save your way at WeEnergy.